Yeah, can you name one book that changed your life?
Now that we're on books, I will say this. If we're on books, well, yeah. I read a book in college. I stumbled across it because I studied English when I was in college, and in English naturally you have to read a lot, and so I was very interested in the subject of reading. And a book that really probably changed the way I read is How to Read a Book by Mortimer Adler. Hopefully I have the author's name right, but yeah, How to Read a Book. It's a classic that was, I believe, written in the 1940s in the States. And Mortimer Adler was, I don't have his full biography just in my head, but he was one of the authors of a lexicon. He was a professor, I believe. But yeah.
But how did that book change? Like, what was there?
Well, he goes into kind of the science and the art of reading, why it's important to read. And the book basically can be broken down into, he talks about 4 different levels of reading.
Okay.
There's elementary reading. That's what everybody does when they learn to read. So you learn letters, you learn words, how they fit together, you learn sentences.
Yeah.
If you learn a second language, you go back to elementary reading. But then then you have, I know the word in German, I forgot it in English, Proof and Dislesen. You have basically you have an overview of the whole book. And so that's the kind of reading where you take a book and you say, well, do I want to read this book? And so what you do is you start by, you look at the title, you look at the table of contents, you go back and look at the end of the book where the index is, and then you read maybe a couple chapters in the book, and that's just kind of an overview reading. And then you have something that's the third level of reading, which is analytical reading. And that's where you read the book from front to cover, and you write an outline on it, and you find the arguments, you find propositions, you find what's important in the book. You can, and you kind of, you don't just read the book to enjoy it, but you read the book in order to teach it to others.
Oh, nice.
And that's kind of one of the more intense levels of reading. And then you have the last level, which is synthetical reading, I believe it is. And that's where you read multiple books at one time in order to to study a topic.
Oh, okay.
But he wrote something in that book that I thought was really, really fascinating. It's all fascinating if you study reading or if you're interested in reading. But he said something in that book. He says, societies that cease to read, he said, then if your society ceases to read, democracy will be in danger. Because people stop thinking for themselves. Reading teaches you. Reading, it's not just about the material that you're learning. It teaches you in a greater exercise. Reading teaches you to think, which is very challenging. It's not easy to think.
Fascinating, yeah.
It takes a lot of. It's not just an emotional occurrence, or it's not just something where you sit back and you let people think for you. It's something that you have to engage in. Reading is a conversation.
Okay.
Right? It's like I'm talking to you now. When I read a book, I discourse with the author. I hold discourse with the author. I speak to the author. I write down my own ideas. I converse with them. I even argue with the author. Right? That's reading.
Yeah.
And that's why some of the greatest pastors, they talked about their I think it was one of the greatest pastors in the English world is Charles Spurgeon, the Prince of Preachers. And I think it was he that said, the authors of the books I read are my friends. And that's really important. And that's why I can say I have many friends who are dead. Dead and long gone.
Okay. So we have as you mentioned, that we have the 4 levels: the elementary, the overview, the analytical, and the synthetical order.
Yeah. Synthetic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good information that we got.
I'm sorry, synoptical read.
Synoptical. Okay.
I should have just read the text before I did.
Yeah,
I have to go back and look with it last.
We'll put it in the comment section, guys. Okay. So you are more of a physical book reader, yeah?
Yeah.
Physical.
Yeah.
It's
I like the actual book.
Yeah, because it's more easier to underline and then make notes, right? Yeah, it's obvious and so.
And the smell, of course, is really important.
So for our viewers who are watching this podcast, I'd like to bring something what's one book that you think everyone should read at least once? Do you have something like that?
The Book of John.
The Book of John means from the Bible, you mean? Okay. So you mean, yeah. The Bible is a library, it's not a book. It's a library because it has 66
books, yeah.
And then, so from that, he's suggesting you to read the Book of John from the Bible, okay? So that's interesting, yeah.
Don't just read it once, read it at least 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, cool.
Read it the rest of your life, actually.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. What kinds of book do you read, and like which genre do you prefer most while reading books or purchasing books?
I don't read so many novels. I read more. I read more for information. So I probably read, of all the genres, I probably read the most. Would probably be theology.
Theological, okay.
Yeah, theological works. Some history, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, where is your favorite spot for reading books?
I heard one guy telling a group of students, you need to go buy a desk. And when you have bought this desk, then you need to make it your own. Put your pictures on there, put your favorite books, or have your journal there, your pen, make it a place where you enjoy going. And then, then you need to buy a lamp. And this lamp has to be nice, And so you have to put the lamp on your desk. And
yeah, you're also a lamp guy. I can show you guys the lamp later on, which lamp he uses and which decks he's on. I can put it in the in the image.
But reading really, just to add to that, reading really, you're rarely life is so busy that you're not gonna have all that much time to read. And if you really wanna read, it's also good to read on the road. Always bring a book with you.
On the road, you mean?
On the road. If you're traveling, if you're getting up in the morning, you have to wait for the train for 10 minutes. You have to, there's a delay. Wait for 15 or 20 minutes. Take out your book and read. Then those small times in your day, when you're tempted to take out this this device, this deadly, horrible thing called the cell phone, and you're tempted to just scroll your life away, bring a book with you. And take those 10 minutes, take 20 minutes and read that book. It doesn't have to be a large work that you're working on, but it bring a small book that you're reading, and read that and take those small times in the day. If you're meeting a friend and your friend is late, use that time to read. If you're waiting for the train, use that time to read. In the train, use that time to read. There's so much opportunities in your everyday that you could use to stay engaged in the book that you're reading. Yeah,
that's really motivating. And yeah, I also like to read books, but it's kind of nature that people are distracted by cell phones these days. And that's a good tip that we should take it from today's podcast, that we should read a book and that can change your perspective on some culture or perspective on some people, or That's really nice. And yeah, I just wanted to ask you another question, but you have already given it through your experience.